Okay. Good evening, Chava. Tonight we're going to start from Daf Mem Aleph on the Aleph, the top. Last night, if you're counting Sierra, was Mem Aleph. So we are exactly one block behind, and we're gonna not catch up a ton today, but we'll finish the parak today, and we'll start the new parak tomorrow. The Ezra Hashem. Zot the other Gemara. V'kare achar. So we're talking about, we're in the middle of a process of, it's called Brichas Kayin, which is talking about after Yom Kippur, not Brichas Kahanim, Brichas Kayin Gadol. After the Kayin, after the Vayda on Yom Kippur, the Kayin the Kayin reads from the Torah. Oh, you weren't here yesterday, so the mission, okay, so the mission is a little new. But the Kayin, basically, the Kayin gives a Kayin, it's called Brichas Kayin Gadol, and the mission discusses the steps. So he stands, he holds the Secretary, and he reads certain parshas. So we're up to the part where which part of the part which parshas you read. So it says v'kari achri mais v'ach ba'aser. So there's two ach ba'asers. The ach ba'aser in Vayikra, which is an achri mais, and there's the ach ba'aser in Bamidbar. So we're going to discuss. So there's three kriyas. He starts with achri mais, the beginning of achri mais. Then a little bit further into achri mais is the ach ba'aser, which deals with the fact that either I forgot I don't mix up already, but I think the fact that Yom Kippur heals, Yom Kippur is mechaper, and then the Akba Aser in Bamidbar deals with the Karbanis in Yom Kippur. So he rolls the Sefer Torah, he reads the first parsha of Achimais, and then he rolls the Sefer Torah to the next part of the Akba Aser. Right? We're going to ask a steer from a Bryson, or a Mishnah, Medalga ben Navi ve'em Medalga ben Torah. We skip over in Navi, but we don't skip over in the Torah. So in other words, you told me that you rolled from one pasha to the next. I don't mean pasha as in Achim Miskadation, but one pasha, one Indian to the next. We learned that you don't do that. We say we can't roll. That means you can't roll more than it takes for the Targum to translate what you just said, right? That we said there was a Targum. They used to have that if the Balkari read a pasuk, and then the Targum said it over in Aramaic, like right. So you have the whole pasuk basically until this guy finishes his drasha saying the pasuk. You could quickly roll, and that's how much time you be. Not that there should be a hefsek. It's not a hefsek. It didn't take the tzibur, but it shouldn't be that this guy finished and you're still shuffling around. So over there, it's mamish a couple of pages, a couple of prakim, but in the Torah, it's mamish a couple of turns that you could do. On that brisa it said and right, that's what we learned before. And how much could you be medalged? Which means in the navi, that's what it says. You can't be masik, which means you can't do it anytime. Because Torah says you can't be medalged, and then it says when can I be medalged? So it means when I said you can't be medalged, it means even this that I said you can be medalged. And the Gemara Allah Mabayik like Kasha can be inyan echad can be shnei inyanim b'shnei inyanim with for two different inyanim to start with one parasha and go into totally different inyan that you can't do in Torah, but to do the same inyan, which is Achim is talking about Yom Kippur and I guess and then to switch to the other part of Yom Kippur, that's fine. Well, Rashi says this is not a question, right? This is a raya. Medalgin b'Torah b'inyan echad b'navi b'shnei inyanim. B'Torah you can be medalig in one inyan and menavi in two inyanim. But regardless, whenever you're being medalig, it has to be within the time frame of that it takes the guy to say over the pasuk in Aramaic. And you cannot switch from navi to navi. You cannot if you have Yeshua and Yeshaya in the same cloth, you can't roll from one to the next. I just one second. I'm sorry, but Navi shall shneim asa medagim. Trey asa, which is I think 12 different Nevi'im, but they're much smaller, so they're like a travel, like it's all put into one. But you cannot be medag literally from the end of the sefer to the beginning. Rashi learns that it's not talking about the end of the beginning to the beginning. Well, he means you can't go backwards. So if you're landing here, you can't go backwards. Now, my question was, how did Rashi know that? Tais also says that. Tais also says you can't. Now, how do you know? Maybe it means you can't do a mamish from the end to the beginning. But how do you know it's only mafreya?
What it says from the beginning to the end?
No, it says from the end to the beginning. Maybe I can't do it from the end to the beginning. How do I know that it's any sort of a mafreya? Let's say do it from this parsha and I go backwards 2 inches, two columns. How do I know it's a problem? Rashi says the mafreya. Any mafreya is backwards because I think Taisus points out or someone brings out that if it was just an issue of medali, if it was just from the end to the beginning, that would be an issue anyway of that's too much time passes. So I know that that's not what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara has to be saying a direction, and that
the
it's
Gemara saying
and
it's
it's
not the
saying
Mishnah, not
it's
the verse.
it's towards the beginning, not to the beginning. To the beginning is your it's time. It's a time issue anyway. Right. So it must be it's a directional issue. That's that. But the goyel esatoiro meniach l'cheikoi, and I taish cheikoi yesterday lap, but it's not true. It's his chest, like you put it on his arm, which makes more sense. But that's how we always do it. Well, his bosom, yeah. It's a great. I don't know why they have to do that, but as it is. The goyel esatoiro meniach l'cheikoi. So again, the next part of the process is that he's after he reads after he reads the Achba Asar in Vayikra, he rolls up the Torah, he holds it, and he says as follows. And he says, we'll just go to the Mishnah. He says that more than what's written here, more than what I just read to you is written here. And then he reads Achba Asar from Bamidbar. He reads Baal Peh. What's the reason why he has to do this whole production? He shouldn't say. The people shouldn't think that it's missing from the Torah. You should write. You should say that the rest of the parsha, the rest of the Torah is written. It's not chaser, but I'm going to do it by heart. And this Achba Asar that's in Bamidbar, he reads that. Let him roll to that part of the Torah and read it. We do not roll the whole Sefer Torah out. We don't skip tremendous amounts by a tzibur. But the Gemara of the Sefer Torah so bring another Sefer Torah like we do today. And it's going to look like there's something wrong with the first one. You have to bring it back up. You would have to make another bracha on a new Sefer Torah, and that's an extra bracha. So rather just stay in the small parsha, lay in it by heart. But the Gemara, you tell me that you can't bring out another Sefer Torah because there's a pagan. You're going to be worried that people are going to be mentalazed on the first Torah. Are we chayshish for pagam? The Amar it's like nafcha which chaydish tevis shechali is b'Shabbos, which chaydish tevis that falls out on Shabbos. So you have three separate kriyas, maybe shalish Torahs. You bring out three sefer Torah. You bring one for the Shabbat, Parsha Shavuot. Achas shalish chaydish, one for Rosh Chodesh. One for Chanukah. There's another time you bring out three also, and that's Rosh Chodesh, Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. I want to say Para or Shkalim, one of those. No, I just made that up. 1 second. I think maybe Shabbos Rosh Chodesh Para. One of the four parshas could fall out on Rosh Chodesh. Maybe a Chodesh. Maybe a Chodesh. I think a Chodesh could fall out on Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. Yeah, a Chodesh could fall out on Rosh Chodesh, and then you'd have three else. Fine. But you see that it's not a problem pagam. And the Gemara plus the gavi plus the sifri like a pagama. Three people with three sefer Torah is not a problem. Chad gavi the sifri Torah. Betray Sefer Torah, it could become. When you only have one person landing from two Sefer Torah, it looks like there was something wrong with the Aliyah. Because again, we're not having multiple Aliyahs. If it's just a Kain doing his thing. So because it's only the Kain who's getting an Aliyah, if I bring in another one in the middle, it looks like there's a problem with the Aliyah. Another guy gets they bring another Sefer Torah, that's not a Shul Pagam. That's just a funny story. I did not read the Gemara's question, and I had the same question. I'm like, what do you mean? We do every Shabbos Chodesh. We bring it. No, I was going crazy. I looked up different Gemaras in Megillah with others brought down. I pulled a Shulchan Aruch. And then I'm like, hey, I don't have an answer. The next line, the next kasha of the Gemara is I never had that before. I'm like looking all over the place. I had 15 minutes. I'm telling you, it was a party. Okay, I laughed out loud. I was just laughing out loud. Like it was too funny. Fine. So the Gemara and this again, this is all quoted in the Mishnah that he brings that the Kohen makes a brach. This is the standard al Torah that we finish off laning with. That's the bracha that it's the first bracha that it makes for al avoda. This is the bracha of Ritzei al avoda al haida. I'm sorry, on Maidim, the al mechilas avayin keteknan, and that is the bracha of Rashi says. This is it says in the Mishnah. Sorry, 1 second. So it's Atubachatana al Mikdash for Atzma, another bracha for Mikdash, al Kahanim for Atzma, and a bracha for Kahanim. Al Yisrael b'fnei Atzma, al Yishalayim b'fnei Atzma. Each one of these inyanim have a separate bracha. Ashar Tefillah, the rest is Tefillah. What does that mean? Tell about Ashar Tefillah. Techina Rino Bakasha Sham Chisal Tzvichim Livasheya. Asking Bakashas and praising Hashem that's the last bracha. The chaysim b'shemei tefillin. The ending of the bracha is shemei tefillin. But kan ve'elach kol avecha maybe sefer Torah b'tayich beis v'karabay. Everyone goes home and brings home their own sefer Torah and reads from it. Why didn't everyone come in the sefer Torah? Because in order for everyone to show up at the same time to see and to like to flex the shtickle. It's good to flex the mitzvahs. There's a joke from this. I think the Samar Rebbe said, "Nacham Mazel," that we shake a lulav in shul and eat.
They read it in their house. Or they
No, they bring it here. They bring it back over here. Yeah, they bring it back. They maybe sefer Torah. They bring the sefer Torah mitech beisay and they read it. So whatever there's any to show a few things. The Samar Rebbe says that Nacham Mazel we shake lulav in shul and we eat mar at home. Because if we ate mar at home in shul, everyone would take the biggest share. And you'd use a pasal esek if you shook over. There's a mile to have. You come to shul, you have to like invest a little bit in the mitzvahs, even if it's short of the shema, but at least you have a nice lulav. So people invest in a sefer Torah, they come out once a year and they show it off. It's a davar chashuv. Parshas Hamelach Heitzad. Right, this is going back to this mission is dissecting the mission that we had in the beginning of the parak. That's describing the things that have to be done on B'Lashon HaKodesh Dafka, or it could be B'chol Lashon, right? And this is one of the things. Eilan Amar B'chol Lashon. That's how the parak starts off. So this is one of the things. These mishnayos are going through that mission. It's probably fine. Parshas Hamelach Heitzad. Moitzi Yom Tov Rishon Shel Chag B'Shmini B'Moitzi Shvius. We're going to explain exactly what that means. But the Yom Tov Rishon. Now we only in the Eretz Yisrael they only had one day Yom Tov, so it means the first day, the matzah first day Yom Tov of Sukkot, right? But not every Sukkot. Which one? Shachag b'Shmini b'Motzei Shabbos on the 8th year, which was matzah Shvius. Yeah, it's after Shemitah, the first year after Shemitah, and then the matzah Yom Tov, not by the end of Yom Tov, the first day Yom Tov. No, it was the first night of Chalamayid. The first night of Chalamayid, right? Motzei Yom Tov Rishon Shachag, the first day of Yom Tov, B'Shmini b'Motzei Shvius, in the 8th year, which is the Motzei Shvius. Oisin leBima al Shal Eitz ba'Azara, they made a bima of eitz, v'hu yashiv aleh, and he would sit on it. Shenema mikate shevashanim b'Moyed, at the end of 7 years b'Moyed. Chazan Knesses. The Chazana Knesses, which was like the guy who like made sure like the AC was on and all the coats were put away and the milk got thrown out. Yeah, the guy with the keys, very good. The guy with the keys. He gave it to the guy who calls people for an aliyah. He's Masada who gets maftir, who gets who gets all the Yehudim the Rosh Knesset nice of the scan. He gives it to the Sgan Kahanan, the Sgan of Kayin, which is
what are they giving?
They're giving the Sefer Torah, yeah. So they're giving the Sefer Torah, and the Sgan is the guy who's prepared. He's prepared. I mean, I don't know why this is Sgan now, but I guess it's always a Sgan Kayin that if the Kayin has a psul, that there's someone to step in for him. Sgan nice in the Kayin Gadol. The Sgan gives the Kayin Gadol. The Kayin Gadol nice in the Melech. The Kayin Gadol gives it to the Melech. So the previous Mishnah, it had the same steps, except the Kohen Gadol was the last step on the train. Now the Kohen Gadol gives it to the Melech.
This is Melech. Again? Oh,
this is for somebody else. This is for Hakal. The Melech, I mean, Makabel v'Kayir Yoshev, and the king is Aymin Makabel, and he sits down and he reads. Agrippus Hamelech Omad v'Kibel v'Kara v'Aymed. He lay standing. Now, Agrippus Hamelech, we're going to see in a second, is not a legitimate king, according to most Shitas. He came from Beis Hordus, which is the servants of the Chashmonaim. After the Chashmonaim took back the Beis Hamikdash, they did it, Rosh Shah, that they became the kings just to be Masada, but they were really supposed to give over the keys back to David HaMelech. They were Kahana, the Chashmonaim, right? So they were supposed to give the keys to the kingdom back to David HaMelech, back to the Yehuda, Chevra, Ben David, but they kind of held on to the power, and then one of the Avadim killed out the whole family, and the Gemara even says that someone who says he's from the family of the Chashmonaim, it means he's an Eled, because there was nothing left of them. It's a big tragedy, and again, so this Hordus came from there, and they stayed in power. Some of them, I guess. So this guy Agrippus Amelech Amar B'Kibbutz V'Kara I made the Shapru Chachamim, and the Chachamim they praised him. When it says that no one of you can be a king, no one can be a king over you from outside. Zolvu ein of the mice, his tears welled up, and I don't know if he started crying, but like he got teary eyed. Amrulai They were mafayis him and they said, Atasyari Agrippas, don't worry, achinu ata. You're our brother, you're our brother. Don't relax, it's okay. He reads, they read from the beginning of El Dvarim at Shema, so straight through the first 5 prakim, I think. Yeah. V'shma v'hayim shemayav asa ta'aser ki sakal la'aser u'parshas hamelach u'brachas v'choles ad shegam kol parsha brachos shekayin gadol mevarich aysan hamelach mevarich aysan. The same 8 brachas that we said before that the kayin gadol makes, he also makes. Ella shenoisin shavagalem takas mechiras oven, because it's not a day of mechiras oven, it's a day of Yom Tov. So they take out regalim, they take out mechiras oven and they put in regalim. So that's the order of reading. So the Gemara, it says b'shmini sakadaytach. So it's not 8. What's 8? What are you counting 8? I'm thinking about b'shminis. It's the 8th year. I'm not sure what the havana, what the maskana is, but yeah. Rashi is explaining that the Gemara thought that it was the 8th day, the 8th day. But you said ha'amad mitzvah yom tov rishon. So what's 8 about it? All right. The Gemara parach b'shmini sakadaytach ha'amad b'mitzvah yom tov rishon.
Maybe the Yom Tov Rishon is the first Chag of the year.
It's the first day. Well, there is the first. I mean, Chag is considered Sukkot is Chag. When the word says Chag, it means Sukkot.
Right.
We say Chag Sameach for everything, but when it says the Mishnah says Chag, it means Sukkot. Stop. B'shmini Sukkot Ema b'shminis. So it's not the 8th day, because the 8th day would be Matzah second day Yom Tov. We're talking about the first day Yom Tov, so it's a little confusing. Ema b'shminis, the 8th year, which is the 9th, which is Matzah Shiyas. What does that mean? If you go back to the pasuk, it says, how do we know to do this? Because it says, so why do we need all these? Why do we need all these psukim? In other words, the Gemara is going to just explain. I would have had other understandings that went to late. If it would just say Mikates and not B'Shmita, I would just say, okay, so start counting now. Now, this was given before Shemitah was even instituted. So you're going to start counting the 40th year of the Midbar, you're going to end up with a totally different cheshbon. Even if they didn't have to keep Shemitah, so therefore it says, no, I'm not telling you, don't count Mikates now. Start counting when Shemitah start when the clock starts when Shemitah gets instituted. I would say right after Shemitah. So not right after, no, it's not Rosh Hashanah, let's say, right because Shemitah ends, it goes Rosh Hashanah. So I would think maybe Matzah Rosh Hashanah. So b'mayid, it has to be a mayid that referring to Chag HaSukkos. And ikas of b'mayid haven't been a Merishata. It would be also from Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because Rachman of Chag HaSukkos. That's why he says Chag HaSukkos. The next pasuk, not because even it doesn't say Chag. Chag would be actually the Gemara Lashon Chag is Sukkot. So it says here the bays over here. Yeah, Mikate Sheva Shana b'mayid Shnas Shemitah b'Chag HaSukkos. So b'mayid is not enough because b'mayid might just be Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is also b'mayid because Rashi brings that it says ve'elam Adei Hashem. All these Yom Tov are considered Adei Hashem. Some are more fun than others, but it's still right. Rosh Hashanah is still considered mayid. So how would I know? So it says the Torah Rachman b'Chag HaSukkos. Ikas Rachman b'Chag HaSukkos have a minah afilu Yom Tov achar. You can do whenever you want. You can even do on the last day. Because Rachman b'Vay Kol Yisrael. But when they first come in, which that's the next part. That's the next part. The beginning of the May, because when you come up, that's when they want you to be there. That's when they want you to leave. So we said that the guy with the keys gives it to the Rosh Knesset. Can cover the Talmud, the Makam Arah. So you see that you can give someone covered even in front of his own Rebbe, right? Because you see, it's not really from that, because I wouldn't say that the key guy is necessarily under as like a Talmud. But you see more from the Sgan and the Kain. That the Kain is much more chashuv, and he's going to give his assistant. He's going to give him cover by having all the type of terror.
Really, it's giving him cover.
Right, that's what I answered. Everything is only just to build up to the king. So everyone is bottled to the king. You're not really giving the guy cover. You're just showing that even this guy is just here to hold the Sefer Torah for you. So that's the answer. But if you give him a real cover in front of, it's my kids, and they don't. But not necessarily bigger, but when it's not connected. I'm in the middle of share. Can I call you back in 5 minutes? Or not 5 minutes, because I love you and I want to talk to you, but I'm right now in the middle of share. So I'm going to call you back in about 15 minutes, okay? Okay, I love you. Why do you pick up if I'm in the middle of share? Amar Abai, Kul Mishum Kvod the Melech. Melech I made the Kabo V'Kari Yashiv. The Melech I made the Kabo V'Kari Yashiv. Agrippus Melech Amar V'Kiba V'Kara I made. He stood up and he lay standing. I made Mechad Yashiv. He was standing. He stood up, which means that he was sitting originally, right? Mechad Yashiv, right? Amar Mar Ein Yeshiva Azar El Malchi Beis David B'Ban. You have to be from the Malchus Beis David in order to sit in the Azara. We had this pasuk earlier because we had the same question in the previous Gemara, and it says that Melech David sat in front of Hashem. Chizda explains it as his nashim. Over there, the Gemara answers that the reading of the Kain Gadol after Yom Kippur is as his nashim. Hachanayim as his nashim. So too, this reading is also an Ezes Nashim. So it's not a problem. Even a Kain who's not from Beis David, or even really a Kain Gadol, or I don't know anyone else, but. Anyway, I don't know that there's a restriction to sit in the Ezes Nashim, but definitely a king could sit in the Ezes Nashim. The Chacham praised him for standing up and reading standing. They praised him that smash that what he did was right. But Rashi says not like this. Even according to Manam that said that a Nasi of Yisrael is allowed to be Moich on his own covet, Melech is not allowed to be what. So if his right thing to do is to sit and read, well, that's what they do. Don't give extra cover even to the Sefer Torah, because it's not really for the Sefer Torah. It's really for the covet Tzibur. If I decide to roll to Sefer Torah and read myself, I don't know how much people allowed to do that. They don't need to stand and read the Sefer Torah. They say that the Vilna Gaon, I think by Seif Yamav, he would just open up a Sefer Torah and he would just learn from the Sefer Torah. Again, he knew all the Gemaras, all the drushes, everything, so it's all running in his head, right? So then just learning from the straight Sefer Torah, and you're learning brachas and Shabbos and just going through the whole thing. But you don't have to stand and read. It's not a din in Sefer Torah, it's a din in the Sibur. So so covet is not for the Sefer Torah, right? You should put yourself upon a melech completely. No, it's a din. Today, he has to keep his fear on you, and for him to be Michael is not appropriate. I mean, you are mitzvah shani. Now, I noticed that there was no letter over here. Usually, right, the letters that show the halacha. So I went to go look up the Rambam in these halachas, and Hitaka does not bring this down halacha. It sounds like the Gemara passed in mitzvah shani. So I looked a little bit around, and I found the Gemara. I think it's on Hedge New Testament days. That has the same back and forth about something about chalitza, and over there the Gemara passes that a king does not do yibum or chalitza b'fnei covet. So you see, the Gemara holds that that it's even for mitzvah not. So why? In my head, I was thinking, why is the Gemara passing like that Gemara not this Gemara? This Gemara seems to be something like this. Right. Mitzvah shani, very simple. It's a good answer. The Gemara doesn't say pasha. It doesn't want to end off anything weird. The Gemara says mitzvah shani. It's a good answer. Everyone moves on. Right. Next piece of the Gemara. Right.
So, I guess he's allowed to, and that's why they didn't. That's why they praised him. Meaning
he's not allowed. Means he's not allowed to do it. He shouldn't do it. It's wrong for him to do. He's not supposed to do it.
Could it be that for a mitzvah he's allowed to, but he
shouldn't? Because then he would have to do ibum. His wife goes out without ibum chalitza. If he was allowed to do it, then he would have to do one of them. It's not mashing like that. So I would just say, I don't know if that's true, but I would say that the reason why he doesn't bring a right from this Gemara is this guy is not a real king. He's a sketch king. So you're going to bring me right from this king. That Gemara is dealing with real kings. It doesn't deal with anyone by name. It deals with the halacha stam. Right. You're dealing with the real kings. That the Gemara finishes off that he doesn't do even chalitza. That's a much more geschmack Gemara to bring right from. Mm-hmm. From this Agrippa's guy. Even though they said mitzvah shani, but it's a shvacha limud. Right. It's a shvacha right. That was my honor. I don't know if it's emes, but I enjoyed looking up the different Gemaras and seeing that I've learned before, but I don't remember that a king is not allowed to do chalitza or yibam. It's not even covered for him to do yibam. It's not covered for the king to do yibam because the la'ach of shame is like a gnai. Because I'm going to have kids for my brother's name. I'm the king.
Right. I don't need you.
I'm not making kids for somebody else. Right. It's a gnai, which is an interesting thing. The chalitza where she has to spit at him, that I understand. Part of the chalitza part is the wife has to spit. Right. Okay, that you don't spit at a king. I hear. But or Shashila, you're going to spit at him. Right? It's part of the process. What are you supposed to do?
She spits or
she spits. She unties the shoe and spits on the floor. And doesn't spit on him, but she spits at him. But if it's Rosh Hashiva, she has to do it. Right. This is a very this we're going to go into Agadah for the next it's very, very fascinating Gemara. So we're getting to Shegia right? When you got to the pasuk that nobody else should be a king over you. This The Sani Yisrael, which is a nice way of referring to the Klal Yisrael, is they would deserve to be destroyed. Why? Shechanifu loy la'agripus. They were mechanifim. They did chanifa, which means they flattered him, and specifically flattering for incorrect behavior. In other words, stam flattery means you say, "Oh, you have a beautiful tie," even though you don't think it's so nice. Okay, that's. I don't think that's this level of chanifa. But chanifa over here,
what, by agreeing to him
by saying that it's okay that you're the king, even though they knew that he wasn't supposed to be the king. They knew that he was an Eved.
Not that they were
not about no. The shabchu is about that's fine. No, again we have an answer for that. Mitzvah shani.
Even though
not according to the Rambam, obviously they held whatever. That's the answer over there, mitzvah shani. Over here we're talking about that his part when he said the pasuk that he shouldn't be a czar, and he's sitting there feeling all guilty because he's.
And they said, yeah.
And he said, no, it's okay. Then they don't have to even be machad. They can just be quiet. They don't have to reinforce his behavior. It's a very strong lesson. This chayvu seni sol playa. They deserve to be wiped out for this. Amar Rav Shimon ben Chalafta miyoyim shegover agroifa shel chanufa. When from the time that this happened, and agroifa over here doesn't refer to agripus. It means that the power of Hanifa took over. Nisavnu nisnavnu nisavsu hadinim the yanim the courts became corrupted and because everyone's doing Hanifa, but and everyone's behavior became all messed up. I'm more ice guy than you. I behave better than you.
No one was behaving.
Because no one was behaving. Everyone was acting in a way. Because everyone's flattering the. We have a distorted culture in America, but you don't have to go around like badgering people. But to give someone credit for doing something wrong is not being idle. It's wrong. It's halachically not okay. It's you're not standing up for what Hashem wants. Again, you have to know when to stick your nose in, right? You don't if you're the smallest guy in shul, you don't have to go make a ruckus when the big Aisha does something. But you don't have to go pat him on his back and say, "Oh, you said good, right?" But who asked you? You don't have to reinforce the behavior. If you don't feel that you could be my okay, so walk away. You have to know your place. But to go pat him on the back and you put the rub in its place. Good. Who are you? You know, right? So it's a very strong. It's a real problem. I'm going to go through it. What kind of passion it is.
Because all the people started doing it up.
Everyone started, because it was a big display of flattery, and everyone and that media took hold in the Klal Yisrael. It seems like. Darash Rabbi Yehuda bar Marava v'item Rav Shimon ben Pazi mutal hachnef l'Rishon ba'al mazed. You are allowed to be machnef to do chanifa for Rishon ba'al mazed. Shenemar lo yikara oid l'navel nediv. During referring to Mashiach's times, the novel won't be considered a nediv. A generous and to an immoral person, it won't be called noble. In other words, when Mashiach comes, we'll be able to get our act together and won't call these people what's it called. But I think it also the bring that could be referring to Dafka in a place where you have a mamish tzarech, but to go around stop smearing up Bali Aveira is not from Allah. This is from Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu says to Esav, "When I see your face, is the mamash like a malach. It's not Elikim, it's Elihim, because it's not referring to Hashem, it's referring to a malach. So it makes me very well to see it. So you see it flattering. Upligi the Rav Levi, and he's arguing on Rav Levi how Rav Levi dash in this passage. I'm Rav Levi. Mashal shel Yaakov Esav lamad avadam. What's this mashal? What's a mashal of this meeting that took place? His friend calls him into a meeting, and he thought that something's going. He's going to have to get whacked. So sometimes whatever these encounters with the chevra, with the Italians. Like you have to know where to sit in the car, like I'm like tam tashel zesh and itayim katashel shatamti bebeis hamelach. So he says, this meat is such a good meat. You know where I had this recently? I was just at the king's palace and I had this. What does that mean? Amar yadali malka mistafine yadali malka. This guy knows the king. He's eating in the king's palace, right? Mistafe v'loy katale. He got nervous. He got scared and he didn't want to kill him. because he is. You know, when the governor's daughter gets something happens, they call in the big guns. They don't just like stand do like a drive by, see if there's any like obvious clues and drive away. They pull in like the heavy cover. So they don't want to mess with them. So Yaakovin is saying, oh, you know, you're looking at Malach, which means that what? That he sees Malachim. So I'm holding in that level that I see Malachim. Don't mess. So it's arguing Rav Levi, right? Because Rav Levi is saying that he was talking being that Rav Levi says that he was using it to flex, and this Shimon ben Lakish said that it was to be it was do Khalifa. No, it's lahapach.
Nothing to do with it.
It's lahapach. Khalifa is you're so great. He's saying I'm so great. Mamash lahapach from Rav Levi. From Levi. Maybe af la'olam. If someone who's ruggle in chanufa and to do this, he brings anger to a wrath to the world. The people who do chanifa, they bring af. A person doesn't his tefillas are not makabel, whatever that means. And don't catch from their pain. Like it's not kedai. Now, okay, Zoktimar weiter. Simen af uber. So again, we're all talking about Hanifa, and we're gonna have a few different members about them. Even the fetuses curse him. I don't remember. I didn't look up exactly why it's so important to know that the fetuses curse him. If the one who says that to Rasha you're a tzaddik, yikfuhu amim yizamuhu leumim. Lesson of cursing, I'm going to see in a second. That this is Balak talking to Bilam, like Bilam talking to Balak, like what does this do? Hashem didn't curse him, how can I curse him? And ayim means ubarim shnema ula ayim la'ayim yamas. This is the message that Rivka got from Hashem, referring to the twins, to Yaakov and Esav. It says this pasuk ula ayim la'ayim yamas, referring to when they were still a fetus. Someone who has chanifa, he falls in the ganem. Shenamar, woe is to the person that says bad, that says to bad good and to good bad. Maksiv achra v'lechin ke'echel kash. I'm sorry. V'lechin ke'echel kash l'shain eish v'chashash lahava yirpa. And it says that it'll be eaten up like straw, and the chashash also is it's also another type of straw, like finer straw. Okay, so you see that they can be punished with fire, which is like similar to Gehenna, which obviously not a physical fire, but again, it like alludes to that idea. And then they added, they changed it to a Rasha. He's going to fall at his own hands. In other words, it's mida connected mida. You're trying to push this guy up. He's going to chop you anyway. You're trying to appease him by throwing Hashem under the bus. He's going to get you. You're going to fall to either him, his son, or his grandson. How do we know? Yirmiyah said to Hananiah, and attention, the pasuk calls Hananiah a navi. So I really wanted to look a little bit more into this. But Hananiah, in this story, Hananiah said a false nevuah. Now, I don't know if he was a legit Navi, because the Torah calls him. The pasuk of the Torah says, Yirmiyah Hanavi. This is in Yirmiyah. So this is in Nach, right? Yeah. This is in Nevi'im. The Torah calls him a Navi. So I don't know what that means. If he was a Navi, Yirmiyah was a Navi.
He said Yirmiyah the Navi.
No. The Yirmiyah the Chananya Hanavi. That's the pasuk. The Yirmiyah Hanavi El Chananya Hanavi. That's the Navi.
It's a Navi Sheker.
I don't know. I hear, but I don't think the Torah would call him a Navi. It could be that he was a Navi and he just had like a bad day or something. I'm not sure exactly what the story is over there, but he refers to him as a Navi. It's just an interesting story. So he said a false prophecy that the Gauls is going to be over. I forgot exactly what he said, but I think we actually read it down. I'm going to come back in 2 years with the stuff that was in Gauls the Kalim. Yeah, that Yechmanya and Clay are going to come back with me in 2 years. So, and that wasn't true. Yirmiyah knew that it wasn't true. So he called him out on it. He didn't call him out. So that was the problem. But Yirmiyah lechananya amen kin yasa Hashem. Yakim es Hashem devracha. Yeah, Hashem should mekayim your words. Now, he didn't mean to be mechanab Chalila. Yirmiyah, he's not a He's not a placater. He's not the. But he turned it into like a tefillah. He said, "Oh, b'cheini yiratzai." He knew he was talking shushan. And afterwards it says, or later on it says, "Vayhi hu b'shar ben Yamin," and he was in Shar ben Yamin, referring to Yirmiyah. V'sham Baal Pekudais v'Shma Yiriya ben Shlemya ben Chananya, and there was this guy, the gatekeeper, who's this guy Yiriya, who's the grandson of Chananya. Atis v'Yispais as Yirmiyah, he chopped him up on Avi. Namer as Ela Kazdim Atunaifa. You're defecting to the Kazdim, because what happened was the Kazdim were leaving. They were surrounding the gates, and then they left because they heard the Mitzrayim were coming, and then Yirmiyah was trying to sneak out. I forgot exactly why he was trying to sneak out. I saw an article why he's trying to sneak out, but there's a question why he wanted to sneak out. But it was you're spying, and you're trying to make peace with them. I'm not doing this. It's sheker. I'm not defecting. They took him to the guards, and they beat him and they kept him there for a very long time. So you see, he fell under the same guy that he was mechanef.
Interesting. It doesn't sound like such a bad thing to say.
To be mechanef somebody?
No, I mean,
again, on the Yirmiyah's level, first of all, it's a whole different level. He's a Navi of the generation. So whatever he says carries a lot of weight. So you have to be very medactic what he says. And if he doesn't put this guy in his place, everyone thinks he's a legit Navi. He just said Navi Sheker. You have to call him out. You can't. Oh, I mean, and it sounds like you're egging him on. Like, oh yeah. You can't show that you're masking to some behavior if it's connected to the Ratzon Hashem. Any congregation that has chanifa in it, that's a bunch of flattery going on, it's most like a nida. But what it means is most is that you have to separate from them. Just like a husband has to separate from his wife when she's a nida, it's not most as like necessarily disgusting. There's nothing wrong with the person who's a nida, but it's just to separate, just for practical. Shenema ki adas chanev galmud. Right, Galmud. And what's the lashon of Galmud? Shekim it means like forlorn, like let go. But Shekim krachem hayikarin lenida galmuda. In the cities of the sea, kracheyam karin lenida galmuda. My galmuda, gemula da mibala. She's removed from her husband. Amar Abelazar called Eda sheyesh ba chanufa the side go. They end up going to Galus. Ksiv hachal ki adas chanev galmud. Ksiv hasam the V'amart b'levech mi yolad li es ela v'ani shchula v'gamuda goyla v'sura. Who's going to mi yolad li es ela? Who's going to birth me these? Who birthed me? What?
Who birthed me?
Who birthed me?
Who birthed me these?
I'm not sure exactly the type, but you see it says gamuda and goyla in the same pasuk. So you see gamuda and goyla, it's the same Indian, so they're going to end up being they understand the gods. I'm reviewing by Abba, which I think is the same one that was saying all these numbers, or the most recent one, because I'm trying to find the Hemshech over here. No, I'm not sure why they bring him over here, because it's another din about Hanifa, that's why. There are 4 groups of Chava that are not Mechavah Pnei Shechina. This is not my sugya, but whenever it says these strong Lashinas, we're Chassid Shidin, we have to know that it's not a joke, but it's also not to be taken. There's tires that say the other way. Let's say that. So not like this Gemara is not real. It's just you have to understand on what realm it's talking about. The jokesters, not jokesters, because nothing was saying a good joke, but just scorners. The art school uses the word scorn. It's like really the perfect lashon. Because to make a joke is nothing wrong. What's making a joke? When you make a joke in the middle of a shir, now you're scorning the shir. You make a joke. You put down the Rosh Hashiva in the middle of his shmooze. The whole thing was lost. The whole 45-minute Moshe shmooze is gone because you're cracking the back, right? It's not a kat chanifim with chanifim that we just said. Kat shkarim and the liars v'chat misaf lashon hara and the kat misaf lashon hara. They say the lashon hara is the worst. No, it's ascending order or descending order, but I'm saying it's from bad to worse. Kat l'tanim dechsiv mashach yodei es l'tanim. And she's going to remove his hand from the tanim. Kat chanifim dechsiv ki loy lefanei chanev yavei a chanev shouldn't come in front of me. Kat shkarim dechsiv doy v'shkarim la yikain leneged. He cannot be in front of my eye. Kat mesapel lashon hara dechsiv ki loy kel chafetz resha ata. You can't. Hashem does not want the Russia, and he can't dwell with Ra. You cannot have evil dwelling in your place. It's just interesting to point out that all these four, I saw briefly wrote down in one of I think articles, they're all relative to speech. The Thomas, right? All these things are speech related. It's our gift. What do we call it? It's not. It's right. It's daimim tzemeach chai. It doesn't say adam medaber. The mile of a person is a medaber. That's the uniqueness of a person. To express himself. And when you use that koyach, and in the hepech of Avodas Hashem, that's a real.
The whole journey of going to Israel, like every time, it was just the words that we spoke that was holding us back.
Oh, interesting. He's saying the complaining and the miraglim. Oh, very interesting. Very geschmack. Let me just hit the record button.